Poised for Exit is a show for business owners who want to achieve a successful exit based on their own terms. Your business exit will likely be the biggest financial transaction of your life, and for most, you'll have one shot at doing it right. The topics and guests we feature and the stories they share will provide valuable ideas and strategies to improve operations and grow enterprise value so you can achieve the best possible exit outcome. Now here's your host, award-winning certified exit planning advisor, Julie Keys.
Welcome everyone to the Poised for Exit podcast show. We are going to flip the script a little bit today and invite a veteran business broker to interview his client about the recent sale of his business. Occasionally, we invite alternate hosts on the show just to kind of keep things fresh for our VIP listeners, which is you, of course. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
This is Andy Kosamba, president of Calhoun Companies. We understand that selling your business is a big deal. Since 1908, Calhoun Companies has been confidently connecting buyers and sellers. From small family shops to large corporations, our expert brokers walk with you and guide you every step of the way, whether you're looking to retire or simply for a fresh start. If you're curious what your business could sell for, or if you're ready to start the process, head to calhouncompanies.com for a free and confidential consultation. Calhoun Companies, the confident choice for buyers and sellers.
My name is Todd Crow, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, certified exit planning advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Thinking about selling your business in the next few years? Don't wait to start planning. I've seen too many business owners wait too long and regret it. Freedom Financial Partners are financial advisors who specialize in exit planning for business owners, helping you reduce tax surprises, protect what you've built, and quantify how much you need from the sale. Their proven process helps you think beyond your business so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. The longer you wait, the fewer options you may have. Download your free financial readiness assessment today at ffpforme.com/exit. That's ffpforme.com/exit. Hello, Poised for Exit listeners. We are here today with Shaun Jackson, top-selling business broker with Calhoun Companies, and his client, Dale Doriott, who is the former owner of Injection Molding Solutions. Gentlemen, welcome to the Poised for Exit podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I'll tell you how Dale and I met, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Dale met with an agent with Calhoun Companies that was actually on his way out. And Dale and his partner met with him, and he was leaving the state. And he brought me in to meet Dale in a meeting together. And from that meeting, everything just clicked. And so we hit it off at that point. I think we had that meeting, and Dale can kind of talk about it a bit if he wants, but I just felt like the synergy was there. I mean, our mindsets were pretty similar, shoot it right down the middle, and just, that's basically the way we operate. So I thought from that point on, everything just kind of set the tone for a great selling experience from his business. But Dale, if you could, talk about the company, how you got it to that point, and then when you start thinking about selling and that type of thing to get us started, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thank you, Shaun. I was in this industry for a long time. I started in this industry in 1986. And over the course of my career, I joined a couple companies and I learned this trade. It wasn't until about 2002, myself and my business partner decided that we thought we could do it on our own. And by 2004, we had formed our company. And we did it mostly because we started young families. And, if you're working for somebody else, you're kind of at their mercy. So, I found myself traveling around the country working for them, taking time away from my young family. And I thought my family deserved something better than that. So we started this. And I actually convinced my wife I knew what I was doing. She still brings that up all the time.
You know,
Anyway, so as we decided to build a company, we were trying to figure out who we were going to be or what we're going to do for a living. And failure, it didn't even come into question. Are we going to make it? Are we not going to make it? Then you read statistics, I don't know, X number of businesses fail in the first year and then 5 years. But as we started to build the company, it started to have some traction. Of course, in 2008 was the big financial failure. And, you're worried about that, but it became a blessing. We always worked on the motto that we borrowed very little money. We just, whatever we could pay for, we tried to pay as much as we could. And when other companies started to fail because they were over borrowed, all these projects that were at these other companies had to go somewhere. And we were lucky enough to be the recipient of a lot of these projects. And the business really started to take off in 2008. By the time we hit 2010, sales were doubling and tripling, and we decided to build a new facility. Well, of course, in that time, business contractors were still not really doing all that well. So we ended up building this facility that we have here for 50 cents on the dollar because they just wanted to create jobs for their employees.
Yeah.
So in the time of financial downfall, really, as a business owner, you have to be thinking of now's the time to buy. You have to do the opposite of whatever the economy seems to be doing. So we did that and we built the company. And then, of course, a lot of sweat, equity, and everything goes into it. So how do you take chips off the table, right? How do you get yourself in a point where you're not so vulnerable? You meet someone like Shaun. That's how you do it. It was clear to me when he walked through the door, we had an instant connection. Just you could tell by looking at somebody if they're, it seems that when they present themselves, they talk to you that it's honest and all the things that they want, they're just telling the truth. And Shaun and I had an instant connection when it comes to that. He just told me the truth about all the things that could come up in a business sale. And I told him what I wanted to get out of this sale. And he told me that all these things were possible. The economy was good, in 2020, 2019, things were good. And so, we sold when things were going good. And it helped me take some of my chips off the table is what it really did.
In 2020, you sold?
Yeah, 2020. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, in that time, Shaun and I had a lot of conversations about, I wanted to sell the building with the business. Shaun told me maybe I should reconsider. I said, I don't want to reconsider because I feel like I have too much liability. Shaun said again, Dale, I think you should reconsider. Okay, I was wrong. Shaun was right. I reconsidered. And, over the course of 6 years, they just renewed the lease for another 4 years. Just with me holding on to the building, it created another $2 million of revenue that I wouldn't have had.
Right.
So I never did thank Shaun for that.
yeah,
I might owe
yeah,
you a dinner or something.
yeah, something. I guess one of the things, though, and I talked to Dell about this a lot, but most people won't understand what he brings to the table. Well, you can hear it just as he talks now, but what he brings to the table when we sit down is very important. That there's no ambiguity. There's no, when you ask a question, here's the answer. Where is this? It's over there. And how you run everything and just in place, answers for this, and no hemming and hawing, very important. And he just presented so well. But even in our scenario, there were things that popped up we had to take care of. But Dale, if there's a certain surprise in that whole scenario, what was it that, took place in the deal that was a surprise, and go through how we kind of handled it in your mind?
Yeah. I think one of my biggest surprises is that all the meetings that we had, of course, you're trying to do all these things fairly confidentially. You have a whole list of employees that you don't want to know what's going on, and they can't know till it's done. Shaun and that crew, well, it's just Shaun from Calhoun, but you were able to keep all the client conversations very discreet. Meetings when there's no employees around, things like that. And one of the things that really struck me was how Shaun had our back at every turn. Now, I'll give you an example of this. So, Shaun and I had a meeting with a gentleman that was thinking about buying the company. And so, on our phone call, right in the middle of it, the guy puts Shaun and I on hold, calls his bank. Then he has his banker on the line. And then he's just very rude to the banker and says to the banker, "Tell him how much money I have and can I afford to buy this company?" The banker said yes, that he could do it. And he was almost imposing his will. And then he told us that he was going to buy it for his son and then move the company and shut it down. Shaun stepped in and said, "That's not the deal that Dale wants to make." And it wasn't. I was never going to make a deal where the company was going to be shut down and these
Mm-hmm.
employees that I had for all these years were going to be out of a job. Shaun
Yeah.
stepped in professionally, made a statement that he thanked the gentleman for his time and his willingness to show us what he's about. And Shaun quickly moved on to another buyer. That struck me as I don't know if people will really understand what it takes for someone like Shaun to do that. I mean, his sole job is to sell a company, and he could have easily sold it that day. He chose not to because of his and my relationship. He knew what I wanted, and his integrity was on the line too. I can't emphasize that enough. It struck me it was a point of contention with me and that buyer, and Shaun quickly stepped in and resolved that. So I appreciate that too, Shaun.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I remember that for sure. And I was a little upset about that
You were.
because I had already, you weren't involved in that conversation, Dale, but I had already made it very clear at that point. So this guy actually was basically testing me,
Mm.
in that scenario. And so instead of like going off all up, I just kind of stepped in and quietly dismissed that. But it was certainly something that it was upsetting. Let's just put it that way. But Dale, one of the things we talked about, and I've told you over and over again about how you present yourself and all that kind of thing, is basically you giving a statement or just kind of discussing how others who are looking to either own a business or those who are thinking about selling a business kind of thing, what should they be looking for, the type of mindset, give them some of that magic. When I would talk to Dale, seriously, Dale and I would be in meetings. The meetings will always be after hours. I would have to drive there probably an hour or so. But man, it was like going to the movie theater because we would be sitting down talking some technical stuff. I'm talking about measurement stuff that you would even think, what the heck is it? And this guy, everybody's on the seat of their pants, like listening to him like he's putting on a production, you know. So Dale, if you could kind of, I think that's based on his confidence, obviously, and his skill set. But Dale, can you share a bit of that?
Yeah, I think anybody that's going to get into running a business or owning a bit, you have to be passionate about it. I spent a lot of time in the technical side of what I do for a living, but I also spent a lot of time on the sales side. I love people. I'm just in general a people person, and I love what I do for a living. I can't say enough about it, producing things that other people's can't, and really enjoy the people that I have working for me. Now, what I will say, if you're going to go sell a business, it's an arduous task without somebody like Shaun. Because you're wrestling with the what are you going to do now? What are you going to do during the sale? What things should I ask for? What things don't you ask for? Shaun straightens that out. But at the end of the day, when you have a prospective buyer or somebody in that's looking to buy whatever you're selling, to me, it's about enjoying the conversation and loving what you do. I still to this day walk into this place every day just to talk to the people I talk to every shift every single day, all the people, every single person. And I just love it. I just love all these things. And to me, the secret sauce is being passionate about all that.
Mm.
I can't say it enough when I get people in the room and I start talking about what I do for a living. Maybe it goes too far, maybe I try to explain things in a degree that are unnecessary. But to build something from nothing, to take somebody's dream that they come in and they give it to you and they say, this is what I dream of. Can you do that? And do you have the ability to say, yeah, I can do that. I would love to do those things for you and be a part of their dream now. It's an amazing journey, and I will always love that part of what I do for a living.
So when you talk about doing something for a living, you're still in the same company that you sold, right? We talked about that before the show started.
I
So
am.
yeah, maybe you could share a little bit about your role now, and then maybe you and Shaun could talk about the deal structure as well. That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So my role now is I'm the general manager. So versus the owner. My duties are similar, but not the same. I still watch over all the financials. I still watch over all the people, hiring, termination, all those things. And as a matter of fact, the parent company, the folks from the parent company, they haven't been here in 3 years. So we do a good enough job where we don't need, whatever you want to call it, supervision or anything like that. But my role is very similar. That's what it is.
But it feels good, like you said earlier when we were first talking, just to have the liability off your plate, right?
Yeah,
And a lot of the really huge responsibility. You still have plenty of responsibility as GM, but there's plenty of more responsibility when you're a business owner that you no longer have to carry.
that's right.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me a chance to redirect some of my finances to something else.
Mm-hmm.
I had the ability to pay for my children's college. They both went to top-notch schools. My wife and I bought a summer house on a lake. We invested in some rental property, some VRBO that's really fun. We get a chance to meet people. All those things. That's kind of my life, what I do after this. But, as far as what I do now, it's very similar. What I will say about the business structure and the sale, if you want to segue into that, guys, are you okay segueing? Okay. So what I'd like to do is like to talk about what I think is important to sell a business. Shaun takes a good broker for sure. Shaun was our guy. He'll be our guy again if I ever do this again. What I will say is you're going to need a good accountant and you're going to need a good attorney that's good at that has sold businesses before. I got a quick lesson in that. Somebody told me that I should have an attorney that's good at selling businesses, and I have our local attorney, and he said he didn't want to do it. Then we got this a new guy out of New Richmond, Wisconsin. I don't want to put his name on the air because I didn't get his permission. But wow, it was impressive. With Shaun as our broker, our accountant, he is stunningly phenomenal. And then this attorney, the company that bought us, they were thinking they were going to buy it from just a couple of guys in the middle of nowhere. But with the team that we put together, we were formidable as far as putting a business deal together between Shaun, our accountant, and our attorney. They were not ready. Nobody was ready for that.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think that above and beyond all else,
Mm-hmm.
that's what separated this sale from maybe any other thing I've ever done. We were so well prepared and represented by Shaun and the group.
Mm-hmm.
It shocked them. It shocked the buyers how well prepared we were.
And we were going to accentuate the point. This company that purchased or acquired, they're huge. This is not like, little mom and pop. They're huge. They were coming offshore from another scenario and they were huge. And
Was it a
man,
public company? A public company?
They're owned by a private equity firm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was,
But not on the New York Stock Exchange or anything like that. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was one of those scenarios, and it was like at every turn, there's an answer for everything. I mean, but we just did our job, to be honest. And this thing that needs to be said is I've done deals. I've been doing this for a while. That deal we did for that scenario, Dale, I like to say Dale did that deal because I had expectations for pricing and I knew what good pricing was on that deal. Okay. We got more than what I thought because Dale and his partner, his partner's Wade. But the thing is, and I told Dale this, I said, Dale, you are presenting way, way too well because I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. These guys are going to buy this thing. And the way you run this, they're going to be like, who's going to be able to run it like this guy? And I said, they're going to want you. And it was like, Dale was like, oh, yeah, I maybe give him 6 months to a year, whatever. I'll agree to that. And Dale is still there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not by mistake. It's not by mistake. They paid a premium for this business. So we got a bumper crop on the business. Okay. But that was, I believe, incentive as well to keep Dale in that seat there.
Of course.
Right? And as he just mentioned, they haven't been out, in the scenario to the place for 3 years. I just had to add that piece in there.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Shaun. I mean, I think my head's getting too big here.
Yeah.
You know what? If the shoe fits, right? Clearly they saw that you had some talent that they needed. And if there's one thing I know about buyers that are not local, they want to keep the leaders in place if they're doing a really good job because it behooves them to do so. So if they made it more lucrative for you to stay on, then good for them. That was a smart move. And I'm happy for you too.
Well, thank you. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a nice ride. It's been, I've got a chance to meet a lot of people, in the past 6 years. It's been a ton of fun. And, I can sleep at night. My wife feels good about the whole thing. I mean, she works here too. Can you imagine working with your spouse every day? She's not listening, is she?
That's fantastic. So, any lessons learned throughout this process that if you were ever going to go through it again, that maybe you would do things a little bit differently?
Yes, absolutely. The first thing I would do is I would know a heck of a lot more about some acronyms that we all live by. How about EBITDA? I would learn about those before I ever ventured to sell again. And I would learn what a multiplier was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what I would do. I would be more educated before I did it versus just learning on the fly. Thank God I had Shaun there to explain this all to me as we went. And I would definitely do it again. I have zero regrets.
Well, gosh, it just sounds like you had the best outcome ever. And, I'm sure that Shaun would agree. And for me, as an exit planner, I've been doing this for a long time. The primary goal is always to help the owner achieve the best possible outcome. Right, Shaun?
Absolutely.
And, we do the best that we can. We can't change the past and what maybe we can't undo things, right, that have already been done. But whatever we can do to make sure that people like you get the best outcome possible, because you deserve it, right? And it sounds like you achieved that. And with Shaun's help, you're riding off into the sunset, having a good.
Yeah, I would like to say so. I sold the business and I made a friend out of it. That's something that's sometimes more valuable than money.
Yeah. Well, fantastic, guys. I really appreciate you being on the show. Thanks so much for doing this. Not everybody who's sold a business is interested in telling their story on a podcast. So I appreciate you being willing to do that, Dale. And Shaun, thank you so much for inviting Dale on the show and for being a rockstar broker.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity to do this and, meet up again. It's been a while and I've seen your success over the years here. So that's been awesome.
Yes, it's been fun, been super fun. So thanks again, guys. And thanks again to all of our listeners out there, all of our sponsors. We really appreciate it. Please check us out on YouTube, share the episode, and join us again next time.